Alex, a man of intellectual pursuits and an insatiable curiosity, was drawn to the cemetery by a desire to unearth a piece of local history buried beneath the layers of time. It was a serene evening when he ventured into the ancient graveyard, the setting sun casting a warm, eerie glow over the tombstones. As he wandered among the graves, the epitaphs, faded with age, whispered stories of lives long past. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees, as if nature itself were revealing secrets of the departed. It was in the midst of this tranquil setting that Alex's gaze fell upon an overgrown, neglected grave, marked by a moss-covered tombstone barely visible through the thick, tangled vines. The name inscribed upon it had been worn away by the relentless march of time, leaving only fragmented remnants of letters. Yet, it wasn't the grave itself that sent a shiver down Alex's spine. It was the grotesque, life-sized voodoo doll resting atop it. The doll was a ghastly creation, its features contorted into a grotesque semblance of malevolence. Its button eyes, though lifeless, seemed to follow Alex as he cautiously approached, its burlap and twine construction exuding an uncanny sense of malevolence. The very air around it seemed to ripple with an otherworldly chill, and an unsettling aura of foreboding washed over him. The rational part of Alex's mind warned him against meddling with such a sinister object. But his insatiable curiosity and his yearning to understand the history behind the ominous doll overruled his reservations. He couldn't resist the temptation to take the cursed creation home, his fingers trembling as he gingerly picked it up. From the very moment the voodoo doll crossed the threshold of his small, dimly lit apartment, it was as if the room itself had absorbed the malevolent energy that emanated from the cursed object. Whispers of ancient curses seemed to hang in the air, sending shivers down his spine. The first night he lay in bed with the doll in his possession, the boundary between sleep and wakefulness blurred. The visions he experienced in his dreams grew more vivid and unsettling with each passing night. It was as if the malevolence of the doll was determined to ensnare him further. During one of these spectral episodes, he found himself in a dimly lit, underground chamber, adorned with macabre symbols etched into the walls. The room was heavy with the scent of incense and dread, and in its center, shadowy figures stood in a sinister circle, chanting incantations with such malevolence that it made his skin crawl. The vision was so vivid that when he awoke, he could still hear the haunting chants echoing in his mind, as if they were imprinted there. The hallucinations grew increasingly visceral and disturbing. On another evening, while he was in the midst of preparing dinner, he was abruptly transported to a dark, foreboding forest. In the distance, he could see a woman, her body bound to a gnarled tree, her eyes wide with terror, silently pleading for help. He desperately tried to reach out to assist her, but before he could make a move, the vision faded, leaving him trembling and haunted by the memory. Another night, he found himself in a decrepit, abandoned house filled with oppressive darkness and an all-encompassing sense of dread. In the center of the room, a young man writhed in agony, his hands tearing at his own flesh with feverish desperation. The room echoed with his tormented whispers, and the vision remained imprinted on Alex's mind long after he had awakened, leaving him with the eerie sensation of phantom pain. With each new hallucination, he was drawn deeper into the dark history of the voodoo doll and the curse it bore. The voices that accompanied these visions whispered tales of anguish, pain, and despair. It was as if the cursed object was a vessel for the suffering of its previous owners, and it was determined to make Alex a witness to their torment. Desperation drove Alex to delve further into the origins of the cursed doll. He scoured local legends, spoke with town historians, and pieced together fragments of the sinister family's history. The more he uncovered, the more he realized that the voodoo doll was not just a tool for their curses. It was a malevolent entity in itself, seeking to propagate darkness. The stories he uncovered grew even more gruesome. Each family member had met a grisly end, all tied directly to the voodoo doll. The matriarch of the family had been discovered lifeless in her home, her body covered in strange, self-inflicted wounds. Her son had died in a mental institution, driven to madness by the relentless visions of suffering imposed upon him by the doll. The last surviving member had taken their own life, unable to escape the curse's relentless grip. As Alex pieced together the tragic history of the family, he realized that he was now part of this dreadful narrative. He was ensnared by the same curse that had plagued the family for generations, and he could see no way to break free from the relentless torment of the voodoo doll. The torment grew increasingly unbearable as the relentless visions continued to plague him. He was trapped in a cycle of darkness, reliving the horrors of the doll's previous owners. It became clear that he needed to take action to sever the curse or risk being consumed by it. In a final, desperate bid for salvation, Alex gathered all the information he had uncovered about the family and the cursed doll. With trembling hands, he embarked on a ritual to cleanse the doll of its malevolent energy. The stakes were high, and the tension in the room was palpable as he prepared to confront the curse head-on. On a moonless night, he returned to the cemetery where the voodoo doll had been unearthed, setting up a makeshift altar with candles flickering in the darkness and protective symbols. Drawn in a circle of salt, he began to chant incantations to cleanse the doll. An eerie wind swept through the graveyard, extinguishing the candles one by one, as if the malevolence of the curse itself sought to resist the cleansing. Just as doubt began to creep in, and Alex feared that he might be consumed by the very curse he was trying to break, the voodoo doll let out a final, agonized scream. It crumbled into dust, leaving behind only an unsettling silence in the cemetery. The haunting visions gradually receded, and Alex's life began to regain a semblance of normality. The curse had been severed, and the vengeful spirits had finally found their peace. However, the chilling experience would forever serve as a stark reminder that some objects were best left undisturbed, for the horrors they concealed could become all too real, and the torment they unleashed could transcend generations.
Thank you for visiting Raven Woods. If you've enjoyed our explorations, don't forget to subscribe and like. And ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Stay curious, stay daring, and keep wandering those winding paths of curiosity. We will see you in the shadows.